Hello, everyone. This is Boomer Life Lessons and Stories, and I'm Dr. Ron. I hope this new episode finds you well and taking care of your family by doing those things that are necessary and sufficient. Because as I always say, what else is there? It's only the family that is really important, and everything that you do is for the family, for your family. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Oftentimes we move house. I think that's the way the British say it. We've had friends that's come over and visited us, and we've been over to Great Britain, and we'll talk to them, and they'll talk about moving house. And literally all that means is moving your from one place to another. Say you get a different apartment, you move from one apartment to another, or buy a house, move from one house to another, or apartment to a house. You're moving your household goods to the new place in which you're going to live. And because of that, you box everything up. Now, I suppose one measure of how much useless items do you carry around with you in your life is a measure of how many boxes that once you've made the move, you don't unpack, right? You always have boxes that are left over that are unpacked, but you seem to have everything that you need in the new place that you're living unpacked and put in the places that they need to be so that you can use them in your everyday life. But these boxes that are out in the garage or out in the storage unit, they never get unpacked. Well, I did go and unpack one of those boxes, and I found something from my past, and I'm going to show it to you in just a moment. But invariably, I suppose that the real message for this episode, it's called My Career and My Fish Trophy. But the real message is simply this: don't let your failures define who you are, right? Because if you let your failures define who you are, then you will never really be able to be all that you could be. And that's what's important. We're striving forward through time to always do something better for ourselves and for our family, to become something more so that our family benefits from that. And if we let these failures that we incur or have along the way define us, then we're going to be putting up roadblocks and barriers to that future that we want to be in. And those roadblock and barriers, if we succumb to them, will never be all that we can be. So this story is kind of one that says, don't let your failures define who you are. Always find a way around them. Now, in order for me to tell the rest of the story, I'm going to change the angle of the camera down to look at something that's kind of interesting. Okay, so here it is. Here is my fish trophy. Now notice, for some reason, it might have been a psychological thing, I've lost the plaque. The plaque is out in the garage somewhere, and I will find it because it has the event that I participated in and what this trophy means. Okay, now many of you are probably thinking right now, Dr. Ron is a fisherman. The answer would be no. If truth of the matter is told, my wife is the fisherman in the family. She loves to fish and she's very good at it. I'll go out with her and she'll catch maybe 40 or 50 fish. She'll catch her limit and I'll catch one, right? And the reason why I'll catch one is my lure is always stuck up in the trees when I cast. Don't laugh, it does happen. My father-in-law and his brother used to get a big laugh out of me when I'd go fishing with them and my wife. So no, this is not a fish trophy. I never fished in a fishing tournament, and if I had done so, I would have never won a trophy. So what is this fish trophy then? Well, the background is it's about the game of chess. And in the game of chess, you play enough games, you can become rated by the United States Chess Federation. And if you play enough games and do really, really well, you can get an international rating. So how does that relate to the fish trophy? Well, the fish trophy is given to the chess player in the tournament. Let me back up and say it again. The fish trophy is given to the highest rated chess player who loses to the lowest rated person. So in other words, they take the difference between your rating, if you're whatever your rating is, and subtract from it the lowest rated player that you lost to. And the individual that has the greatest point spread wins this trophy, or earns this trophy. Perhaps earns this trophy is a better word, because the way I earned this trophy is I was on my way up to becoming from an A player to a candidate master. And I ended up losing to, and my rating, by the way, was somewhere between 1900 and 2000 at that time. And I went on to lose to a player that was rated in the 1300s, a D player. And literally, it was a great embarrassment to me, because I was viewed at that time as one of the up and comers in our local chess club. And I was doing quite well. I'd actually beat candidate masters and masters on my way up. But in this particular case, at this particular tournament, and I believe it was the Little Rock Open, I lost to the lowest player in the tournament, and I won the Fish Trophy. And that's not something to be proud of. But it was kudos to the individual that beat me. Congrats to him. He played a better game than I did, and he beat me. Now, there's a few lessons to learn from this in our careers, and I'm talking about our professional careers. You know, you're not always going to be successful. And when you're not successful, you can't allow your shortcomings and your losses define who you are today and who you will become tomorrow. We all have our good days and our bad days. And sometimes we're stellar in our performance, and we get all those accolades from our colleagues in the industry, and from our management and our company, and even from our customers. And sometimes we draw a big zero. For whatever reason, we weren't thinking clearly that day. We did something that caused us to fail and maybe perhaps hurt the team. But here's the thing. You know, if you make a mistake, it's like the boss I once had when I was in high school. He said, if you make a mistake, well, that's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. We're only human. If you make the same mistake a second time, and you've heard me tell this story in a previous episode, if you make the same mistake a second time, well, that's a maybe. But if you make the same mistake a third time, that's no longer a mistake. That's a bad habit, and we have to correct it. So if you continuously have failures, you need to do something different. You need to take stock in yourself and kind of analyze what went wrong and why it went wrong, and then try to do something different. Because that age-old definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and trying to get a different result. It's not going to happen. So the fish story is simply this. You're going to have failures in your life, but you're going to have to get over it. Because if you let your failures define who you are, you'll never be who you can be. You'll never be all that you could be. So get up off the ground once you fail, dust yourself off, say, thank God that's over with, and move on. Focus on the future and try to do better. Try to be that person each and every day that you want to be, that will be a benefit to yourself and your career and to your family. And don't let your fish trophies define you. Yes, I've hung on to this fish trophy. It's a reminder of one of my failures. But again, I congratulate the individual that beat me, but I'm ashamed that I allowed somebody that was 400 or 500 points beneath my rating beat me. So I did better after that. I analyzed the game, saw where I went wrong, and I got better in my performance overall and went on to higher and higher ratings. So my successes did come after that great loss, and so can yours. If you don't let your failures define who you are, and you go on striving to be all that you can be and do better each and every time and use your lessons learned, then you will, in that future state, become the person, the professional, and the parent or father or whatever it is you want to be. You'll be the best of the best. And with that, my friends, while we're letting the music play out and you're looking at my fish without the name of the event, it was, I believe, the Little Rock Open on the trophy, where I earned this trophy. As the music plays out, just remember, I overcame my failure, and so can you. All the best, and please remember, you're always on my mind.